So yeah, you're moving a lot. You're trying to react instead of just being present. I can see you trying to remember what he's saying.
This is Tristan Spohn. You may know him as number two from Stranger Things. He's been an FBI. He's booked for a lot of upcoming movies and TV shows. Pretty big actor, pretty big up and coming actor. I'm an aspiring actor. Obviously, I want to do YouTube, but I would love to be in movies and TV shows as well, similar to Tristan. Today is going to give me a little bit of a coaching and probably roast my acting. We're going to start with him critiquing a recent production I did of Grease, and then we're going to have him critique an audition tape I made. Timestamps in the description.
Working? Yeah, where?
I was lugging boxes down to Bargain City.
Oh, nice job.
Hey, cram it. I'm saving up to get me some wheels. It's the only reason I took the damn job.
You getting a car connect?
Hey, cool. What kind?
So there is one thing I can immediately notice. First off, your voice is so different, which is crazy. But what I can kind of see, and this is what a lot of actors will do, which is it's that I don't know what to do with my hand syndrome, where they start to
Yeah.
overcompensate with body movement. And I see you doing a lot of like extraneous body movement. And it's just a little bit beyond like theatrical in the sense of like, of course, you're a little bit more flowy in movie and theatrical, but some of it feels like it comes from this nervous energy instead of it coming from like a grounded energy. I love nerves because it means that you care about what you're doing. But yeah, I would just dilute that movement a little bit.
But I got a name all picked out. Grease Lightning.
Oh, nifty.
Yeah, maybe you want to get a hamster instead. Oh, yeah, laugh it up. When I show up in that baby, you suckers will be laughing at the other end.
Will we ever?
I will say you do have great stage presence. You're nervous and yet you feel at home at the same time, which is really cool. It's like you do have that natural charisma.
Hello, Lady Lynch, for English again. She hates my guts.
She's got the hots for you, son. That's why she keeps putting you back in her class.
Yeah, she's just waiting for you to grow up.
I do see some of your reactions feel very canned in the sense of like it feels like you're trying to have an interesting reaction instead of having a genuine like reaction, which with theater and especially something as like over the top as a play like Grease is, it in some ways feels at home. But what I notice is that it's very hard to shake that when you get into film acting. And so finding a way to bring it down just a little bit will allow you to transition back and forth between them a little easier.
I did think about this as I was acting. I was like, I hope I'm not going like too over the top here. But then part of me was kind of like, screw it, let's just do whatever.
It's always better to go over the top and rein it in than start like low energy and have to push into a higher energy. So it's better to start there so you can bring it down. You're still fitting in with all of your other like the performances of everyone else around you. So if you bring it down too much, you'll be standing out for the wrong reason. Do just a hair less and it would work really well.
I am so glad she didn't give you none of her crap, son. You would have really showed her off, right?
Hey, Rope, you shouldn't be eating that cheeseburger. It's still Friday, you know?
Oh, what'd you remind me for? Now I gotta go to confession.
Well, I can eat anything. That's the nice thing about being a Lutheran.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about being Petunia Pig.
Look who's talking, Porky.
So this is a very like small little thing that I can just recognize first off because it's like close, but saw you do this like pre-reaction in the sense of like it was like, oh, she said I'm about to react. Oh wait, crap, I reacted a little bit too early. Now I'm gonna actually react and get to my line. I saw a little bit of that kind of like stutter reaction, which you can sometimes see where an actor momentarily accidentally takes them out of the scene because they're like, wait, what was that? Oh, okay, cool. Now I'm going back into it.
Hey, Sonny, don't blow that magazine. There's a picture of Ricky Nelson in there. I really want to save.
Is that a voice that she's doing?
Yes.
Okay, I was about to say, it sounds like Elmo.
She didn't drink so much Coke and rot your teeth.
Okay, Bucky Beaver.
I ain't kidding. Somebody told me about this scientist once who knocked out one of his teeth and dropped it in a glass of Coke, and after a week, the tooth rotted away until there was nothing left.
Jesus Christ! I'm not gonna carry around a mouthful of Coke for a week. Besides, what do you care what I do with my teeth? Ain't your problem.
No, guess not.
I like the relationship that y'all have. I feel like y'all have good chemistry. So far, in terms of like people standing out, guy with the guitar has been really, really good. And then the girl you're acting with, it's probably biased because I'm specifically looking at you, but she's playing
Yeah.
off of you really well. And one thing I will say, I've noticed you do that you've done frequently enough for it to become kind of like a tell is you do a lot of eyebrow acting first, which some of that is theater, but I kind of see some of that being your natural instinct, which is why I predict it'll trickle over into some of your film acting. But you've, and some of this too is theater, but it's also the actor always thinks they need to face forward at every single moment because they want the audience to see every little thing that they're doing in their performance, which isn't always necessary. But you'll do like you're listening to her, so you're pointed this way, and then it's your line, and then you do like this, you do your reaction face forward, and then you go to her as she's speaking, and then you go forward for your line. And it's not inherently like bad or anything, but it would be good for you to mix up some of that tempo so it's not super kind of static and predictable.
Yeah.
I tried out for the track team today.
Are you serious with those bird legs?
A better hobby than yours, Rump.
You're really good at physical comedy.
Oh, that's good. That's nice to hear.
And I will say the guy in the guitar is really, really good at having these very natural reactions. Like I will say a lot of other members of the cast, I can see them being like, oh, now I'm gonna give my reaction. And it feels like, okay, I've planned this reaction. And his feels very grounded, like, oh, this person's talking. Oh, okay, yeah, cool. And I really like that.
That name they call you, Rump.
Oh, that's just like a title.
I think you're really good at physical comedy, but I can see you almost leaning too much into that. And so you're being very chaotically moving, and every single line has this movement attached to it, which is fine, but you want to make sure to explore more contrast so that if it's just moving the entire time, none of it really stands out. It just becomes like this character is just chaotically moving. Whereas if you're more intentional about, okay, this makes me do this, ironically, it'll make your physical comedy stand out even more if it's contrasted with some more still moments where you're not going all over the place. Good acting all boils down to contrast.
I wish I'd been there. I mean, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I wish you'd been there too.
You do?
See, that line right there would have been so beneficial still, because that was like the first time I saw you kind of have like a softer, tender moment. It would have been just chef's kiss milky if you were doing all of that and you were just like, line, 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 line. And then it's like, holy shit, he's being still. This is like oh, fuck. Whereas you kind of diluted some of that impact because you were kind of shaking your shoulders as you delivered that.
Okay, so now what we're gonna do is something that Tristan is pretty much an expert in, because this is actually how he books Stranger Things among many other things. We're gonna actually look at an audition tape I made. Now this isn't an actual audition tape. This is one that Tristan sent me, just so that we can really critique some acting. Because as I said, I would actually like to be in movies and shows and stuff going forward. So I got to get good at this auditioning tape stuff. And if you'd like help as well, stick around to the end, because it might just be a way for Tristan to help you too.
Jesus. There's this big fly.
Pour whatever you got in here. So I should note that I didn't have anyone to read the lines off of. So I was just saying the lines, and then I recorded it and added in the lines just for the sake of the video.
For the longest time, because I was too nervous to ask people for help, I would actually film tapes that way. It becomes very formulaic. A ton of actors have done that to the point where casting now actually puts a note in most of like the submissions being like, hey, by the way, make sure you have your own reader. It's also super easy. You just gotta ask someone, hop on a Zoom real quick, weed some lines with you. All right, I can say one thing off the bat. I did not fully see a pre-life. You just kind of walked on screen. I try to make my tapes look as cinematic as humanly possible. So what I will typically do is always be placed on a third. So the reason I bring that up is because I would start at the very back towards the wall on maybe the right third so that you can enter and cross onto the left third. It looks more pleasing and it allows you to add a little bit more context than it would if you just walk on screen. I do like playing with depth, but that's just me.
I think it helps. I can see why it would help. Because you said a point the last day about the more it can, kind of represent how it would look in the movie or TV show, the better.
Stranger Things and FBI booked me off of just one audition tape. We're shifting towards a landscape where like your audition tape is the thing that will book you or not. We're no longer in that phase where it's like you do 4 to 5 different auditions for the same role in front of different people. Like they take that and send it everywhere. In the end, it's your acting that matters, but having the highest possible quality will never hurt you. It'll only benefit you.
Only the finest scotch, Romeo. So, who you been seeing these days, A-Team? Oh man, nobody and nobody.
Yeah, you're trying to react instead of just being present. And some of that is why you want to try to never just read with yourself because it's so hard to like be engaged and just naturally respond when you don't have anything to respond to. But my theory was correct because I do see you in acting. We call it telegraphing, which is when you're trying to push, oh, I'm feeling this specific way, instead of just allowing yourself to actually feel it and then trust that it'll come across. And I see you telegraphing some feelings and emotions instead of letting your performance kind of speak for itself.
Nobody and nobody. No, I think my apartment must be like that house from the Munsters. Every chick that comes close just runs away screaming.
You were like me when I first started. You do a lot of eyebrow acting rather, and it's what I noticed in your theater performance, and I am seeing it trickle into your tape. And what I think it will end up being for you is one of your acting tells.
I'd even let C-SPAN set up cameras in my house if that was happening. Where the hell are they going?
So I've actually done this specific scene in my workshop. So I've seen many different versions of this scene, which is why I wanted to send this to you. A note that I've given every single person is to notice the birds sooner. It feels too intentional if you're just talking, and then birds, and then you go back. So what I'll normally do with something like this is I'll kind of reference the birds a little bit in a previous line, whatever, I'm going to be back engaged in this conversation. And then when you actually have that, like, holy fuck, okay, there are so many fucking birds. What the hell? It kind of has that like payoff because we saw you were kind of glancing up at something. What is he glancing up at? And then it has that payoff of, oh, okay, that's what it was. You only have a clear blank wall. It's that much more important to incorporate your surroundings. Speaking of incorporating your surroundings, one of the things in the stage directions of the scene, which means I know that you saw it if you read the scene, is how they can see their breath actually like in or something along those lines, referencing the cold. I didn't see any of that cold acknowledgement. And especially in a tape, it's so important to really paint the visual picture when you're just behind a plain like wall so people can understand more of what's going on, and you're kind of setting the scene because like I said, this will be sent to so many people, and the actors that physically set that scene bring your attention more in. So I've seen people be like, oh, I'm so cold, and my favorite way to play the cold without playing the cold is to start like flexing my abdominals, because it starts to naturally kind of have a little bit more tension as I'm talking, which I've noticed whenever I'm cold, I start to kind of like lock up a little bit. And those are ways that you can manipulate your body so that it doesn't feel like you're playing a situation. It feels like you're actually like in that situation.
I'm starting to get the first stages of frostbite. My goddamn balls are about to shatter.
So yeah, you're moving a lot. This is one of the things that most beginner actors, especially if they've primarily done stage, do. But you're doing a lot of like the, oh yeah, I'm talking and I'm doing kind of like this, and it's okay to do a little bit of that. But going back to the contrast I referenced, this scene specifically, there is that moment where there's that vulnerable kind of like connection between the two of these characters. Something like that is a great time to have that movement and go. Even vice versa, if you're like moving and then you get to like the vulnerable moment and then it's still. But yeah, just exploring some of that contrast would help.
Shit, man, I can feel it. What's eating you? I'm lonely, man.
I can see you trying to remember what he's saying.
Looking back on it, I'm like, I can already see how it would improve a lot, literally just by having someone else there. I feel that. This whole time I've been...
Yeah, the movement is diluting a lot from some of these moments.
Weird. I'm not even playing with princesses anymore. Going straight for my queen.
And see, I like the move, like the hand movements you did there. It would have stood out more if it hadn't been so movie the entire time.
I do notice it now you mentioned it. I'm basically always moving. Well, let's do this. Yeah, right behind you.
There's something in scene work called a button, and a button is essentially like a strong way to like go out on the scene with. And I think you could have used a stronger button so it's not just walking off screen. For example, the big thing is they get on their four-wheelers or something like that. So you could have a button as simple as, all right, let's go. And then you just like chuck something to the side and then do like you did a little ounce of that, but then you just kind of sauntered off screen, and it could work better if maybe you're like, okay, and then you can even do like a quick little last look. Us actors are obsessed with the last looks where like you're on your four-wheeler getting ready and then it cuts as you go with a little side look to the person and it's like this cool like it makes it feel like a cohesive kind of ending to the scene.
That's my first edition tip. Yeah. So lots of good notes. Obviously I had a lot to learn. It was a bit of a roast. Well-deserved one. Thank you so much. I can't wait. Hopefully now I can find some more things to send audition tapes for. I'll be like already like 20 times better. But that's not as good as I'm gonna get, because hopefully we're gonna start being like a regular thing where you can kind of help me better at acting with these Zoom coaching calls.
Funny that you say that, because I'm actually in the process right now of opening my own online Zoom coaching business. You're interested in learning specifically about audition tape technique. I've been in a unique position where, because I'm in Texas but my representation's in California, everything I do is audition tape. Like I haven't done an in-person audition in probably like 2 years or something like that. And so I've gotten a crap ton of reps specifically on audition taping, which has taught me a lot about what looks good and what doesn't look good. I would love to bring you on as one of my students.
So I'm going to be doing some audition tape work with Tristan until the end of the year. And if you want to do that as well, email Tristan at bentspoongcasting@gmail.com and you can sign up for some Zoom coaching sessions as well. And the first 3 people to email Tristan, I'm going to pay for your first coaching session. So make sure email him quick. And also, one random person who leaves a comment on this video and is also subscribed to my channel, I'm going to pay for your first coaching session with Tristan as well. So make sure subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and then go email Tristan for your best chance to get a free lesson. But even if you don't get the free lesson, he's doing a really great deal on this stuff, and as you can see, he gives a ton of value. He really knows what he's talking about with audition tapes. So if you ever thought about potentially getting into the film or TV industry, this is definitely the best way to do it. Who knows, maybe you'll be in Stranger Things season 5, or at least something similar. Go hit up Tristan right now. See you guys in the next one.